The old life feels real because you practiced it. The new life starts to feel real when you practice it too. That is intentional manifestation. Not pretending, not wishing, and not waiting for Monday. So today, I'm going to show you my simple ABC method. Align with it, behave like it, collect evidence for it. See? Simple. Manifestation is not magic without movement. It's the outcome of repeated alignment. Okay, what if you're already manifesting your reality every day, every hour, every choice, and every reaction? And what if your manifestation goes deeper than your words? So what is manifestation? And where did you hear that word or learn what it means? Who taught you the difference between wishing, wanting, believing, choosing, and actually aligning? And if your answer is no one, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm No One. I'm a life coach who teaches emotional intelligence through self-awareness, behavior, patterns, and intentional choice. And why that matters is simple. If you don't understand what you are creating, you will keep blaming what keeps repeating. Because it is painful to keep ending up in the same place and not know why. You'll call it bad luck, bad timing, the wrong people, life being life. But sometimes it's not random. Sometimes it's a pattern with your participation in it. And maybe no one said that, but what you keep creating has already been saying enough. As I said, manifesting is so easy, even a child does it, literally. They're hungry, they are fed. They poop, they are changed. All without words, only intention of desire. They say nothing while the parent figure it out. That's just like the universe. You ask, you align, and the universe figures it out for you. So I'm going to reintroduce you to the ABCs of life manifestation because you always knew how to. You just forgot your ABCs. So what is manifestation really? Because sometimes when people think they hear manifestation, they think it means sitting in the room, lighting a candle, saying affirmations, and waiting for the universe to DoorDash a new life to your front door. It's not magic without movement. It's not wanting without responsibility. It's not saying, I claim it, while your behavior still keeps declining it. Manifestation is the outcome of repeated alignment. That means your belief, your thoughts, your words, your behavior, your choices, your standards, and your environment keep moving in the same direction long enough to keep and create a result. So when I say you are already manifesting, I don't mean every painful thing in your life is your fault. Let's be clear about that. We are not victim blaming. We are not pretending people do not experience hardships, systems, trauma, loss, unfairness, or things outside of our control. Those things are real. What I'm saying is this. Even inside what you did not choose, your repeated agreements still create direction. So your response creates direction. Your tolerance creates direction. Your avoidance creates direction. Your standards, your silence, your habits, your emotional reactions, your environment, they all create direction that you flow right through. And that direction eventually creates outcomes. That's manifestation. Not just I want it, but am I aligned enough to build it? Because wanting peace is different from practicing peace. Wanting love is different from choosing love that has evidence. Wanting confidence is different from choosing before everyone else gives you permission. Wanting abundance is different from acting like your future needs preparation and not just a prayer. That's the difference. Okay, so you can skip ahead to the ABCs of manifestation. But before we jump into the 5 big tips, it's important to understand why you are not seeing your desired reality that you so desperately want. Here's probably why. Why do so many resolutions fail? Because most resolutions are word-based, but realities are behavior-based. Your behavior determines your unique vibration, and your vibration is a beacon to what you attract, to what you call yourself. So let's look at the words in the form of New Year's resolutions, daily affirmations versus behaviors. A resolution says, this is what I want. But your behavior says, this is what I am still aligned with. And if your words and your behavior disagree, your behavior wins. That is why people can say, I'm going to stop going back. But the behavior keeps checking their page, keeps responding to the late night messages, keeps rehearsing the fantasies, keeps leaving emotional access open. They can say, I'm going to build my business. But the behavior keeps hiding, overthinking, consuming more than creating, and calling fear research. That's why a lot of resolutions do not work, because the resolution is pointed towards the new life, but the behavior is still loyal to the old one. And no one said that, but your behavior did. To understand how to review your behavior for clues about your current alignments, watch this video here. Your behavior is telling on you. Then you might understand why your resolution says, I want a different result, but your alignment might say, but I'm still practicing the same reality. This is why January 1st does not save you. Monday mind reset calls do not save you. A new planner does not save you. A birthday, a breakup, a new outfit. These reset moments won't save you. Now, the reset can be useful, but the reset moment is not for transformation. Transformation happens when your repeated behavior becomes aligned with the outcome you are asking for. There's research language for this, right? Psychologist Peter Goldwitzer, it's on the screen. His work on implementation intention shows that people are more likely to act on goals when they use clear if-then plans that connect to a situation with a specific action instead of relying on a desired action. So let me simplify that for you. What that means is, I want change is weaker than when this trigger happens, this is exactly what I'll do next. That matters because manifestation on purpose is not just visualization. It's preparation. It's a chosen response. It's having a plan for the moment your old self tries to vote again. Now, the next part may bother you because truth has impact. If you are afraid of the ouch, skip this part. But if you need the ouch, this is for you, intentional manifester. You are always aligning with your true self. The hard part you need to understand before you can ABC your way to your desires. This is the moment you forgot, when you move from childhood to adulthood. So we're going to spin the block real quick to take a look about what we forgot about manifestation that you already knew. You ready? You are always aligning with something, even when you are confused, even when you say you don't know, even when you say you're stuck, even when you say, I'm just going with the flow. The question is not, am I aligned? The question is, what am I aligned with? Because you're always manifesting because you're always aligned with something. If you keep over-explaining, you may be aligned with being understood more than being free. If you keep accepting inconsistency, you may be aligned with the potential more than you're aligned with the evidence. If you keep chasing closure, you may be aligned with their explanation more than your peace. If you keep choosing the same environment, the same people, the same habits, conversations, same emotional loops, then part of you is still aligned with the same reality. And alignment is powerful because alignment tells your life what you keep rehearsing. This is why I don't define manifestation as just thoughts, because you could think abundance, but your whole behavior practices lack, practices fear. You can say, I am loved, while your choices keep accepting emotional crumbs. So the real question is, what is my life currently rehearsing? Because whatever you rehearse repeatedly starts becoming normal. And whatever becomes normal starts feeling like reality. And whatever feels like reality becomes easier to create. That is why intentional manifestation requires honesty, not fantasy. Honesty. Now, you also have to understand that your old life has a contract. Because the life you want usually requires the death of the agreement that built the life you have. Not the death of who you are, the death of the agreement. The agreement that says, I have to earn love by being overgiving. I have to stay quiet to keep peace. I have to be perfect to be respected, or I have to be chosen before I can choose myself. Those agreements built something. They built behavior, they built relationships, they built tolerance and identity. They built a nervous system that knows how to survive in that reality. So when you say you want a new life, your old one does not just disappear because you posted a quote. Your old life asks, but what about our agreement? That is why growth can feel like betrayal. Because the old version of you may not be evil, it may be the version that helped you survive. But survival patterns do not always build desired outcomes. Sometimes they build protection. Sometimes they build delay. Sometimes they build smallness. Sometimes they build control. Sometimes they build people pleasing and versions of ourselves that we don't want anymore, that no longer serves us. There's nothing evil about that. It's just doesn't serve us anymore. So yes, manifestation requires your old life, no exceptions. Not because you have to hate your old life, but because you cannot keep feeding the agreement that built it while expecting a different outcome. The new outcome costs the old agreement, and that's just it. So I want you to pause with this one, not for a cute answer, for a real one. What is one old agreement your behavior keeps honoring, even though your words keep asking for a new life? Maybe your words say, I want peace, but the agreement says I have to respond to chaos. Maybe your words say, I want love, but I have to prove I am worth choosing. Write the agreement in the comments if you can name it, if you can handle it. Because sometimes once you name the agreement, you can finally stop pretending it's your personality. Okay, here's the part that you either skipped to or have been waiting for. How do we manifest on purpose? And not by trying to control everything, not by pretending bad things never happen, and not by lying to ourselves with affirmations that our behavior don't even believe yet. But by practicing your ABCs. And I like ABCs because it's so easy, even children do it. A, align with it. B, behave like it. And C, collect evidence for it. Starting to sound like I'm asking you to become a little delulu? Yes. Yes, I am. Delusion about your desires, not your actions and behaviors. Not delusional about your evidence, but of your desire. That's why it's so easy a child can do it. That's why it's so easy you forgot how to do it, because somewhere between childhood and adulthood, your life became a bit less easy and a bit more complicated. You claim it, your desired outcomes, your manifestation in motion. You align with the outcome by naming what you want and identifying the old agreement that keeps pulling you back. You behave like the outcome by choosing actions that match your reality you say you want and interrupting old patterns when it tries to take over. Then you collect evidence for it by repeating the new behavior until your nervous system stops treating the new life like a threat and start recognizing it as a familiar. That's how you claim it. So we're going to go through this. Clarify the desired outcome, locate the old agreement, align the behavior, interrupt the old pattern, and make it believable through repetition. ABC is the method, claim is the technique. So let's break it down so that we can make this easier. Under the A, under the ABCs, we have clarity. Do not just say, I want better. Better where? Better in love, better in money, better in discipline, in peace. A vague desire creates vague directions. So you clarify the outcome. I want to become a person who makes decisions with clarity. I want a relationship where consistency is normal. I want to build a business that reflects my voice. I want peace that is not dependent on people behaving perfectly. That's alignment. Now you're giving your behavior a destination with clarity. Now, under claim, we have locate, which is still under the A's. You locate the old agreement. What old belief keeps pulling me back? What old rule am I still obeying? What am I afraid will happen if I become this version of me? This is where you find the hidden agreement. So, example says, if I set boundaries, people will leave. If I'm visible, people will judge me. If I choose, I'm selfish. If I rest, I fall behind. This is still part of alignment because before you can align with the new outcome, you have to locate what you are currently aligned with. So align means name the new outcome and expose the old agreement, the C and the L in claim. Like, if that was clear to you. Now, let's go to the B's. And under B's, we have two more segments under claim, the A and the I. A, align the behavior. This is where manifestation stops being a cute sentence and becomes a choice. You ask, what behavior would prove I'm aligned with the outcome? If the outcome is peace, what behavior practices peace? If the outcome is confidence, what behavior practices self-trust? If the outcome is love, what behavior practices standards? If the outcome is success, what behavior practices visibility, consistency, and completion? So an example would be, if you want peace, aligned behavior might be not arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. If you want confidence, try to make a decision without outsourcing it to 5 people first, right? Get your answer before you get up. This falls within the B, behave like it, because you must now align the desired behavior that matches the desired outcome. They gotta match. That's what alignment is. I'm matching my behavior with my future outcome. I'm aligning them. See that alignment? Not thinking, not wishing, not stating, not affirming. Aligning my behavior. We're going to go to the I and claim. Interrupt the old pattern. This is why this is important, because once you try to align new behaviors, the old behavior is going to come back knocking. Okay? So you need an if-then plan. So this is where the psychologist Peter Goldwitz, he's on the screen. This is where his work on implementation intentions becomes a key to the manifestation. Because your new life is going to cost you your old one. And that will be uncomfortable. If you align more with comfort than your desired outcome, then the old pattern wins. And that means discomfort is inevitable if you want change. So we prepare for when those moments arise. For example, if I feel the urge to over-explain, then I'll pause and ask, what am I trying to prove? If I want to go back, then I'll read the evidence before I read the fantasy. If I feel afraid to post, then I'll post one imperfect one anyway. If guilt shows up after I set a boundary, then I'll remind myself, guilt is not always a sign I did something wrong. Sometimes it's a sign I did something new. If I feel the urge to ask 5 people what I should do, then I'll write my own answer first. So behave or behave means choose the behavior that matches the new life and interrupt the behavior that keeps creating the old one. Now that's the key. Now we get to the C's. Collect evidence for it. And we get to also the M in the claim. Make it believable through repetition. That's how we collect evidence. This is where the new reality starts becoming believable. At first, the new behavior may feel fake. Setting the boundary may feel fake. Posting the content may feel like a little imposter syndrome. Receiving love without proving may feel fake. But sometimes fake is just unfamiliar. The old life feels real because you practiced it. The new life starts to feel real when you practice it too. So this step is about collecting evidence. Every time you behave in alignment, you collect evidence. Every time you set the boundary and survive the guilt, you collect the evidence. Every time you make a decision without asking 5 people first, you collect the evidence. And every time you post before perfecting something, collect that evidence. I'll show you how that looks. I noticed I acted differently. I named what changed. I felt what it proved. Then I used that evidence to strengthen the identity I am becoming. That's where affirmation becomes believable. Because the affirmation is no longer floating in the air, it has a receipt. The evidence tells your nervous system, we can live this way now. So collect means repeat the aligned behavior until the new version of you has proof that this reality is safe, possible, and believable. Because your belief system automatically affects your nervous system. You confused about that? I'll repeat it in another way that maybe you can catch it. Because this part is important for noticing your intended manifestation in real time. Collecting evidence means consciously noticing every moment where your behavior, your feeling, your choice, or your responses proves the new identity is becoming real. So now it's not just, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. Now it's, I spoke up in that meeting today. I felt nervous, but I still said what I needed to say. It felt good afterwards. That's evidence that I'm becoming more confident. Speaking up. The old pattern, staying quiet to keep peace. The evidence collected is, I told someone what bothered me today without attacking them. I felt nervous, but I also felt clear. That is evidence that I'm becoming someone who can speak honestly without exploding or disappearing. I am someone who can communicate clearly. That affirmation with that receipt becomes powerful. Let's talk about a boundary. I said no today and survived the guilt. I didn't over-explain. I didn't rush to fix their reaction. That is evidence that the guilt does not have control over my choices. I am someone who can set boundaries and still be safe. You see how the affirmation became more clear because of the evidence that it presented itself. What about receiving love? Someone showed up for me today and I didn't immediately try to repay it or question it. I let myself receive. That felt unfamiliar, but peaceful. That is evidence I can be loved without performing. And an affirmation attached to that might be, I am worthy of care. I don't have to earn through exhaustion. Confidence. I made a decision today without asking 5 people first. I checked in with myself, chose, and nothing fell apart. That's evidence that my own judgment counts. The affirmation attached to this, I trust myself to choose. That's different. Now, the affirmation has proof. An affirmation without aligned behavior is just a sentence that your life agreed to without the evidence. Your words matter, yes, but your repeated behavior is the proof your life keeps reading. So manifestation is not think it, say it, want it. Manifestation is align with it, behave like it, collect evidence for it. That is how it becomes your reality. And it's easy as ABCs. That is why intentional manifestation is the 4th pillar. If you don't translate emotion, it may become a reaction. And if you don't decode the reaction, it can become a behavior. And if you don't recognize the behavior, you can fall into patterns. And if you don't interrupt the pattern, it becomes your reality. So when I say you are already manifesting, I mean you are already creating outcomes through what you repeatedly align with. The power is not pretending you created everything. The power is in asking, what am I willing to create differently from here? This is where intentional manifestation begins. So here's your practice after this video. Pick one area of your life where you keep saying you want change, not 10 areas. 1. Ask yourself, what outcome do I say I want? What old agreement is my behavior still honoring? What behavior would actually align with this outcome? And what if-then plan do I need for the moment the old pattern shows up? And what small repeated action would make this new reality believable? That is the work, not just a resolution. Resolve. Because a resolution is what you say you want, but resolve is what you keep choosing when the old pattern invites you back. And that's how you manifest on purpose. Not by pretending, not by wishing, not by waiting for Monday, but by aligning your language, your belief, your behavior, your repeated choices with the outcome you actually want. So, if you learned one thing today, share this with someone who keeps waiting for a fresh start when they really need a new agreement. And if you learned 2 things, subscribe, because it helps this message reach more people who are tired of repeating the same reality and calling it bad luck. And it helps us build a space where emotional intelligence becomes clarity, behavior becomes evidence, patterns become visible, and outcomes become intentional. So I want to leave you with this question. What is one outcome you say you want, but your current behavior has not fully agreed to? Put that thought in the comments, not to judge, but for clarity. Because you are already manifesting your reality. Now it's time to do it on purpose.